Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie Jessica.
So it's time for our 1 minute book recs. This is where we go over all the books that we read this week with 1 minute synopsises of each book and tell you how the week went. But first, I almost forgot about it. But first, Mandy,
hit that subscribe button so you can be entered into our Road to 1K giveaway. Our next giveaway is when we reach 750 subscribers here on YouTube. And we have 9 Minutes by Beth Flynn. It is a signed copy for our giveaway. Again, one of Jessica and I's favorite books, so you definitely want to get this copy. And we'll have some swag that's going to come with it as well. And then you can get an extra entry by following us on Instagram, and everything is linked below.
Yes. Okay, so first of all, thanks to Beth for sending that to us.
Yes.
Again. And Mandy, was your week as crappy as mine for reading?
Well, maybe we should just call this 1 minute book recs, where you're going to find a couple books that you want to read, but we took one for the team and can tell you what not to read.
Yeah, it was an interesting week. You know, I had a really, really good reading week last week, and I think they just set me up. I swear I started like 10 books this week and went, no. And just went, I'll do it later. And then the ones I did read were kind of like, yeah, okay. So what about yours?
I only read 5 books this week. It's been kind of a busy week. I had 1 5-star read and two 4-star reads and a 3-star and a 2-star.
I read.
If you watch our channel, I usually don't have a lot of 2 stars.
So. Yeah, I had several 2 stars, I think. I read 8 books this week. So like, yeah, there was a lot of low ratings this week. So we're going to tell you guys what not to read apparently this week. So the first book that I read this week, this is a reread for me. This is Lucky's Choice by Jamie Bagley. This is a part of her Last Writers series. It's way into the series. You don't have to read them all in order, but it's kind of nice if you do, but you don't have to. So this is about Lucky and Willa. So Lucky was the pastor in the series. He is retired military, and he had been a chaplain, and then he'd been a pastor for reasons. And now he is a part of the MC. Again, for reasons. You'd have to read the other books to get it, or you just read this and it'll explain it. And he is sowing his wild oats. And then you have Willa. Willa is our plus size heroine. She's a baker. She has this business. And in a previous book, something had happened, and she ended up taking in all of these kids out of guilt because of things that happened. This is their story. So Lucky at first wants nothing to do with her, and he wants nothing to do with the church, and he wants nothing to do with his past life and all of that good stuff. And she kind of whittles her way into his world. She's definitely got some low self-esteem and some issues, and he has his own issues, and they got to work through it. But I love the story. So it was, 4 stars when I read it the first time around. I reread it all the time, so obviously I like it enough to reread it all the time. So, yeah. Love it.
Okay.
I didn't hear my timer go off. Did you turn it way down?
Oh, I was wondering about that. So I guess it was turned down. I'm like, I can barely hear it, so I was wondering if you could hear it. I could try setting it up here on my computer and see.
No, I mean, when you switch back, I know that it's off, so that's okay. But
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we could just do that too then. But as long as I know what's going on, I suppose, since I'm the switcher.
The switcher. Okay.
Okay.
So tell me about your first book.
So my first book was my 5-star read, and it was Rued Secrets by Neva Altai. This had all of my favorites. It had age gap, it had amnesia, it had the arranged marriage. So I was totally in love with this book. So it's number 4 in the series. It's Isabel and Luca. Luca is a capo, and he's like he's very important, and he is recently getting divorced, which we find out at the beginning why. And Isabel's grandpa is like the head of everybody, and he is kind of on his deathbed, and he decides to do an arranged marriage because he wants to put Luca in charge. So he decides to have Isabel marry Luca. Isabel is over the moon by this. She's 19. Luca is, I think, 35. So he's definitely older, but she has been in love with him, like totally crushing on him since she was 7. So this is like a dream come true for her. Luca is very turned off by the situation because she's still a teenager. And so he's not happy about it. It's not that he doesn't like Isabel. He's just not happy about it because she's a teenager. He feels like I could be her dad type thing. And so it really, really bothers him. So Isabel is like devastated that Luca just kind of keeps her at arm's length. And then there's an accident, which this is not a spoiler. It's on the back cover of the book. And he has amnesia. So now it's Isabel's chance. Yep. Dun, dun, dun. I loved it. It was so good.
I do have to ask, and for those who have not read it yet, I'm going to keep this very vague. The finger.
Oh.
And for those who have read it, you know. What did you think about the finger?
Okay, all I have to say is UTI.
Yes! But I was like, reading it, I was like, do I like this?
Totally there for it.
About this?
I was here for it. I was there for it, here for it, whatever.
Okay.
I enjoyed the book. I did think that though, but like, oh, she's gonna have some bad UTIs. Like, but it was also oddly
hot.
Yeah, almost in a romantic way.
I mean, I wouldn't want it, but
no, UTI.
Yes, exactly. So, okay.
I don't think I've ever read a romance book where the girl gets a UTI, and I think I've only read like one or two where people are on top of the fact that like you need to get up right away and use the restroom and take care of some stuff or you're gonna get a UTI.
I mean, I don't think I've read too many books where they actually go to the bathroom in general, so, or at least where it's addressed. I mean, because it's not something you address.
It's only been in like one book that I can actually remember where I'm like, finally, like somebody who's like needs to, more realistic.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just not the romantic part of a romance book.
No. Hygiene doesn't seem to register a lot.
Ever had a UTI? You probably feel some frustration in these books.
Yes, exactly. All the time. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. My next book. I read Malice by Coralie June. This is the signed copy that I have had on my shelf forever. And it was a complete disappointment for me. I was not, this is a really well-loved book to my knowledge. It will go in my Pango bookstore. Okay, this is a Mafia romance. This is a reverse harem Mafia romance. I didn't even realize it was reverse harem when I started. I gave this 2.5 stars because I could not get into it. I just had the hardest time. So this is about our heroine, who is Juliet, and she's been friends with this girl for a couple of years. She works in a diner. She takes care of her grandma, and her friend, they're not allowed to talk about her life. She has a bodyguard when she comes and visits her once a week, and they're not allowed to talk about her life at all. Then one day, crap hits the fan. These guys show up and they take the girl. Well, these guys are her brothers. And because our heroine Juliet has witnessed all of that, her bodyguard was also a brother. And apparently they're all in the mafia. And now the guys are like, we own you, and now you're going to go work in our club. And it's her and the brothers that end up together. It just didn't work for me. There was just something about it that just did not work. So, it's off my bookshelf now. I've read it. And it's the beginning of a series, and I don't care. I don't care to read it. So, and I'm like the one that likes reverse harem. This just didn't work.
It's interesting.
Very much so. My mood, though, I'm just saying, but it just didn't work for me.
Well, my next book just proves that once again you have ruined me, and the books I used to enjoy, apparently I don't anymore. So thank you.
Sorry. You're welcome.
Okay, so my next book was Fair Game by Monica Murphy. It was a 3-star read. I liked it, but I didn't really like it. I didn't love it. I just liked it. It should have been so much better, though. So this is about Jade and Shep. Get this. Shep is playing poker with Jade's boyfriend, and they bet her. Oh. She is the jackpot, and Shep wins. Jade is furious with her boyfriend, and she's like, not doing it. Like, I didn't agree to this. But she was kind of a little bit involved because of some stuff that happened. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this book is going to be fantastic. I love Monica Murphy. I loved A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime. I read a book by her last week that I didn't care for. I was hoping it was a one off. So I'm like, this is going to be it. This book didn't really work for me either. I really felt like the plot, like, oh my gosh, he wins her in a poker game. Well, here's part of the problem. They're in college. So it's not like a Mafia type book where the guy's just going to throw her over his shoulder and take her home. So that didn't happen. And Shep is like rich and hot and cocky, like everything that you would describe for, that sort of thing. But he's a one and done. But for whatever reason, he's like super into Jade. And it's just, I don't know, it just went weird. And then like he kind of ropes her into going out like with him one time because of the bet. And it just wasn't that exciting. And I think the problem is I probably would have really enjoyed it when I first started reading, and I liked YA and I liked college romance. And now I'm like, well, why didn't he just throw her over his shoulder and drag her out of there? He won her.
I'm sorry.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Sorry. It's all my fault.
So if you like YA still and Jessica hasn't ruined you, you'd probably really enjoy Fair Game.
I'm sorry. I'm really not.
I was going to say, you're not sorry. I don't know. It could just be that I wasn't in the right mind frame, or I just had expectations of it being something a little bit different than what it was. But sometimes, books can be different and they still work just for whatever reason. I liked it, but it just wasn't like...
No, I am here to help one person at a time. And apparently... It's like when I was at Barnes and Noble yesterday and the lady was wanting to read all of the Colleen Hoover, and I just wanted to be like, stop.
Yeah, I was at work yesterday and Jessica sends me a message and she's like, I think I'm just going to set up a help desk at Barnes and Noble.
Because Barnes and Noble rarely has anything worth reading anyway. Mine doesn't. Mine doesn't have a lot of the dark stuff. Yeah. Because the sales lady didn't know what she was talking about either. She was telling this girl that it was like romance when they were women's fiction with a little bit of like romantic elements in it. And I'm like, that book is not romance. I'm sitting here like, keep your mouth shut. I
can't believe you didn't intervene. I probably would have.
I wanted to, but the lady was older, and then she was talking about another author I'd never heard of. And I'm like, okay, so she's not even in this stratosphere that I'm in. So I'm just gonna let her do her thing. But if she was closer to my age, I would have stepped up and went back, let me help you out there. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about my next book. Now that I didn't accost the lady in Barnes and Noble.
So we see on the news this lady being drug out in handcuffs from Barnes and Noble shouting, Colleen Hoover is not a good book.
I wouldn't shout that. I would shout, there's so much better than Colleen Hoover. Yes. There's nothing wrong with her. There's just better. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Sorry. There just is. Okay, let's talk about the next book.
Okay.
All right. So the next book I read is called Finding Their Heart, and it is by Mira Stanley. So this is reverse harem, but this is a post-apocalyptic reverse harem. This one is really interesting. So this is the first in a series, and it ends on a cliffhanger. Nothing crazy happens in this first book, but this one is like kind of like a little X-Men-y, because there was a virus that went through 2 years before the book starts. There's a virus that goes through the world, and when people got sick, if you didn't die, then you woke up and you had weird powers, kind of. So this is about Cora. So for 2 years, when she graduated high school, she was about 18 when this all went down, and she was taken capture by a guy who held her and did mean things to her, bad things to her. We don't see that, but when the book opens up, she's running from him, and she ends up running into this guy, and the guy that she's running from has like the power of lightning, and he ends up striking this guy down and like killing him. And she runs over to this guy that got hit with lightning and tries to give him mouth to mouth. There's another guy there, and he's like, whoa, what are you doing? Because you can't touch the one that got hit by lightning, because if you touch him, he will kill you. Like his skin kills people. Anyhow, she goes to live with these guys. They have a compound set up. I really liked it. There's more guys. We just don't meet them till the very end of the book because they're gone. I liked it. I want to continue the series. It was just very intriguing. So like nothing happened yet in the book. We only meet 3 of the guys in the beginning. There's like 2 or 3 more. It sounds like there's quite a few. So we'll see if I can keep them straight. But they all have different powers. So, and they don't work on her at all. So I'm intrigued. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. The first one had audio, the rest don't, which is why I couldn't listen and continue on while I was cleaning. So, and doing things this week. So I have to actually read them. I gave it 4 stars. I'm intrigued. It's different. You know, I love post-apocalyptic. I was in a post-apocalyptic mood this week.
Okay. All right. Let's hear about another book I didn't enjoy.
Okay.
So this book is called Until Lily by Aurora Rose Reynolds. This is about Cash and Lily. There was really no character development. Everything happens very quickly. It's a pretty short book, which if you've watched our channel, you know I enjoy novellas, but this just didn't work for me. It is a little bit longer than a novella. I think it could have used it could have used a lot of stuff. Okay, so Cash and Lily hook up. Cash breaks up with Lily, even though she's the love of his life, because he has knocked up somebody else and finds out she's pregnant. He cuts off all ties with Lily. Surprise! Lily's also pregnant. Let's fast forward a few years later, and we're at a trampoline park, and everybody meets everybody. I'm done.
That's pretty much it. That is pretty much it. I read that too. I think I gave it.
Oh, you gave it 4 stars, Missy.
I was probably 3.5, and I rounded up because when I was looking at that and you and I were talking about it, I was like,
I don't know how you did that.
I think there were elements that I was able to just get past. I don't know.
So I rated it 2 stars. Again, another book it should have been really good. Like he breaks up with her because he finds out this other girl that he had previously been with is pregnant, and he wants to try and make a go of that. And then like there should have just, it could have been really good.
It could have. And I remember that going, really? There were just certain things that, and then like immediately when he gets her back, there was no grovel. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no grovel. There's an excuse for things, which, I mean, there was validity to the excuses, but there was like no grovel. She really didn't try and push anything. Like there was just no character development at all. There was no anguish in this book. There should have been a lot of angst, and there wasn't. It was all going way too fast.
I think if the author went back to the drawing board and revamped some stuff, it could be a great book. It's got the bones for it. It just needs more.
And there was way too much focus on the dialogue amongst the brothers. And where that I would have let's scrap that if we're trying to keep a page limit here and develop some other stuff more. Like it was weird to me that we spent more time on that than other things, but could have just been my mood because at one point in time you enjoyed it.
I did, but I also listened to it. I don't know if that made a difference or not.
I don't know.
Could have been my mood.
Yeah. So it was a 2-star for me.
Okie dokie.
Okay. Ready? Okay.
Yeah, let me tell you about my 2-star.
Oh, yay!
So I read Runner, and this is by Evie Mitchell. So this is another post-apocalyptic. I was in a mood this week, and this is about Evie. So get this. The world is ending, everybody's getting sick and dying, and you're at college. So you and 11 other girls, I think there was 12 total, all major in different areas. You know, you got one that's a botanist, one that's a chef, one that's an engineer, whatever. You decide to stay at this college because everybody's going home from college to survive and live with their families and try to, figure that out. You decide to stay there, but no men are allowed and no kids are allowed. So I'm not sure how you expect that to work out in the end. And then 2 years later, you're attacked by rogue people, and you find out one of the girls is the daughter of an MC president who's about 4 hours away. And so you go to them for help because you have to get away because these guys are going to come back eventually, right? They say they'll take you on if you promise to become club property and an old lady to one of their men, and you get to choose the man. The premise was like, the execution, no, it didn't flow. It didn't work. So I wanted to love it, but
yeah, you were very excited about this one.
I was, and then it just went, and then the more like I thought about it, like really, you just happen to have an engineer and a botanist and a biochemist, and I'm like, really? It didn't work. I gave it 2 stars. It didn't work for me.
Okay. All right. So, Jessica, my next book is from Convincing My Bestie. And because somebody has to go camping again, we are rescheduling some things around. So, Convincing My Bestie will air. That sounds funny. What's the right name? Drop. Thank you. It will drop next Monday, and Bestie Book Tea, which is our 1-minute book recs, will drop that Thursday. So we're just flip-flopping next week's order to accommodate somebody's need to go reading.
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
So I read I Think Not by Sinclair Kelly, and I hope I can name off everybody's name that is in this book in the minute that I have. So we have the star of the Omega's Guide, which is Brexley. Then we have the Ride and Alpha group, and that is Hawk, Crew, Shaw, Axton, and Cam. Yes, that is right. There are 5 guys in this. Why did I read it? I don't know. Jessica forced me. So this is Omegaverse, and my notes literally say WTF. Like, this was the craziest ride ever. So Brexley has this Omega's Guide channel, or I guess with like videos and things, and she's like very anti the pack, and there's reasons which we find out for. And then the alphas are very like, they poke a lot at Brexley, I guess you could say. Like you left the stream there for a second. That was weird. I don't know what happened.
So totally here the whole time.
I know, but you weren't. When I tried to click you back on, I had to add you back in. Anyway,
weird. Okay.
So they end up meeting up together at a panel, and then like things quickly, I guess, escalate would be an okay word to use. Yeah. And there's 5 guys.
There is 5 guys. Not the restaurant though.
What? Oh. I didn't catch what you're reading.
When I picked up my husband from the airport yesterday, I was like, hey, I'm going to stop at 5 guys. And he was like, that's a lot.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Anyway, you do really, is that?
No. He likes to eat at the 5 Guys restaurant.
You're always going there. I'm like, that's too expensive.
He does. I don't want to
go. Okay. That's the book. So make sure you watch Convincing My Bestie so you can learn all about the Omegaverse books. Yeah. They're wild. All right, Jessica.
Okay. So my next one was another disappointing read. So this one I actually gave 3 stars. It was okay. So this is Thy Kingdom Come by Monica James. I was actually really bored with this one. Really bored. So this is about Puck. And he is our hero. And in the beginning of the book, he's like 4 or 5, I think. And he sees his mother get murdered while she's being murdered. So this takes place in Ireland, and it is a mafia type situation. And he's like in the wardrobe. He's like in the closet, and he's watching his mother get murdered. And she's locked him in there. She knew something bad was going to happen. And so she gave him a bunch of face paint and told him to, entertain himself while she tries to fight off the attackers, apparently. And so he paints his face to show, like, when she got her a cut, he would mark his face with it, whatever. Anyhow, his whole life is about seeking justice for his mother. So then he meets this girl, he calls her Baby Doll, and she's a liar, she's a thief, she steals from him the first night she meets him. But then we go on to try and avenge the mother, and it's just very, I didn't care. I just didn't care. I didn't care. It was just very boring. I mean, I thought I've had it on my Kindle forever. And I was like, "Ooh, it's Irish. Let me jump all over that." Nope, didn't work.
Sorry.
Yep. Yeah, I think if I had been in a different mood, it might have worked. But there was just so much about avenging the mother and not enough about the relationship that I just didn't give a crap. So maybe we were just both in really weird moods this week.
I don't know. I ended the week good, though. So I read Bloody Heart by Sophie Lark. This is number 4 in the Brutal Birthright series. This has Simone and Dante. Dante is leaving a building rather quickly. He has a very quick exit, literally, from this building, and he needs to leave the premises from this hotel with this deal situation. Like, his life is kind of in danger, so he has to get out of there quickly. So he sees a car idling kind of off to the side. He hops in it, drives away, and surprise, Simone was in the back seat. And for whatever reason, they have this like attraction to each other, and things kind of go from there, where he decides to go and like try and see her again, and she's very excited about it, and they start a relationship. Her parents do not approve of him at all. His dad welcomes her in, and they have kind of this whirlwind romance, and she ends up pregnant, and she goes to meet him at like midnight to tell him, and he is like, he's in the mafia, of course, so he ends up getting into some sort of a I guess we'll call it a hiccup, and he's rather bloody when he comes to meet her, but he doesn't want to leave her waiting for him like out and about at midnight. And when she sees him, she realizes she has to go. Like, her parents aren't going to help her if she stays with him, and she's like, I got to get out of here. I have to take care of this baby. And so she runs and just leaves. And then some pretty horrific things happen after that. And then the book really picks up a little bit later when they end up back in each other's orbits, and her son is now 8. It's also his son. So I enjoyed it. 4 stars.
Yay. Okay.
So now, Jessica, we'll hear about your 3, and I'll just switch back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So again, I went with another post-apocalyptic book. This one is called Brutal Bargain, and it is by L.J. Anderson and Ashlyn Fables. This one was a little more porn than plot, I'm gonna say. I mean, there is plot. There was plot, and it was good. It had quite a bit to it. So this is a zombie apocalypse situation. So you have our heroine. She's 18. She fled with her parents when the sickness got to the city, and her parents ended up, they're not surviving it, and she's been holed up in a storage closet for, I think it was about a month, a little bit more than a month. She gets on a radio that's been in this closet, and she, is asking for help, and she gets answered by this guy, and he's like, if you can meet me at this certain location, then I can help you. And he's trying to test her, basically. And she's like, well, what do I have that you want? And he was like, pussy. I want pussy. So after talking for a day or two, she actually makes it, and he takes her in. This is heavy on the breeding. This is obviously our hero is not a nice guy. He's very possessive. He's very, he's keeping secrets. There's more happening here than what you realize. I want to read the next book. It's another couple in the next book, but I think our plot gets a little thicker. I think this is setting up that world and what's happening. So, yeah. It was okay. I mean, I gave it 3.5 stars just because it was short and it wasn't as fleshed out as it could have been.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Ready
All
for
right.
the next one?
Next one.
This next one, I gave 4 stars to, but I'm going to tell you right now, there is no spice in this book, which is a little frustrating, but I'll tell you why. So this is called Laces. It's by Tempe Lark. I realized after I started getting into this book, it's a fairly short book, that it is the first in a series, and the next book doesn't come out until October. So that was a little frustrating. So this is about Lincoln, who goes by the name Laces, and our heroine, who is Gambrielle. So Lincoln is in a psych ward. Him and his buddies run this psych ward at this hospital, mental hospital. He's 18. And then you have Gambrielle. She is being admitted to the psych ward. She is accusing her stepdad, who is the district attorney, of murdering her stepsister. And she's gone to trial, and she's been found crazy, basically, and they're putting her into the psych ward, but she's been abused by this guy her whole life. She refers to Lincoln as Hannibal Sketcher, because he sketches, he's an artist, but his sketches are very scary. And this is their story. I was very intrigued. I was sucked into it. And when it ended, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. It was just getting really good. So I will read the next. It did give me 4 stars. I was just a little frustrated that it's not coming out till October. I did read the foreword where the author said that she had COVID twice while reading this book, and they broke it up because of that. I don't know how that's an excuse, but okay.
Jessica. Okay. Next.
Okay, so my last book actually ended on a good note. It's could be maybe even a little higher. I really like this one. So this is Con by BJ Alpha. This is the second book in her Secrets and Lies, but these can be read as standalones. We get to meet BJ Alpha next month when we go to Love in Vegas. But this is about Will and Connor. Will is short for, she's got a really long name. It was really, yeah. Anyhow, Will. So Will and Connor had a relationship when they were in their teens. And tragedy happens in Connor's family. This is Mafia. Tragedy happens, and he gets really sucked into this tragedy, and he just can't get his head around it and move on. And she finds out she's pregnant. She tells him she's pregnant, and she wants to keep the baby, and he insists that she has to get an abortion. He gives her money and tells her, go get the abortion, whether she wants it or not, which, let's face it, that's a real dick move. And she takes off. And he doesn't see her again for 5 years. And when he sees her again, she has a little boy. There's reasons. There's definite reasons. It's not just because I hate when I read it and there's, you're the same way. There has to be a reason, a legit reason. And the reason is legit. So, yeah, I gave it 4 stars. I actually like this one. I mean, Connor is a dick. Let's face it. But yeah. So, all right, guys. So that was our reading week.
Okay, so in the comments, tell us about your reading week. I hope it was better than ours.
Yeah.
But if not, at least you have some books that you can either not read or just go in with caution. And maybe if you've read some of these that we didn't like and you did, tell us that. We are mood readers, so we totally understand that a book that we read this week that we didn't like, we might be fine with a month from now. So feel free to let us know how you thought about any of the books that we comment on or that we talk about. Oh my gosh. That is not the first time I've said new books from us either.
No.
Okay. Make sure to check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new book review videos from us.
Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.